So fundamentally, this idea of starting a blog and being the subject matter expert and having all of that authority, it really doesn't work that well anymore. Here's a site that's ranking number one with 0 backlinks, making 50 grand a month. And now let me tell you the complex technical points.
Hi everyone, it's Olga Zarr from SEO Slide. This is SEO podcast by Olga Zarr. This is a new name that I changed recently. So today my guest is someone known as SEO Jesus. And this is going to be, I think, a very interesting conversation about a very interesting topic. So Stuart, how are you doing? Can you briefly introduce yourself in case someone doesn't recognize you?
Thank you very much. No pressure. Interesting conversation. So I'm Stuart because I was in affiliate marketing for most of the last 6 or 7 years or so.
Oh,
In that time, grinding away in the background, listening to all the podcasts, trying to get my 100 pages of best X or Y type content and reviews to rank, normally for basic consumer products. And not really realizing the kind of level of skills I was acquiring in that process. So I was working for a small insurance company at the time. They're spending 10 grand a month on paid ads and not really getting any conversions. And I was trying to tell them about my sort of hobby blog. And I said, I can make this work for you if you want. And they couldn't really see how blogging equated to actually selling insurance. But eventually we tried it. And then within 2 weeks, the phone started ringing. So we found some really good niche opportunities, got that blog post literally to number one. And now they're doing 50 grand a month. So that was that amazing moment of, they say it takes the same resources to sell a cheap product as an expensive product. And I kind of thought, at the time, my blog was ironically all about shaving. And I thought, what am I doing selling shaving brushes? Yes, I rank number one for shaving brushes, but yeah, I could be ranked
but you are
selling.
not shaving.
No,
Clearly.
I think that's where I realized the skill was more in the SEO rather than anything else. But but what am I doing consumer products when there's much higher ticket items I could be doing? Now, in the meantime, I joined a much bigger insurance company. They had 2 SEO agencies working for them. And as far as I could see, they didn't seem to be really doing anything that effective. And I thought I could do so much better than that, so much cheaper. In-house, they tried to listen to me, but they said, the board signed off on it, and there's not much we can do, unfortunately, due to corporate process. So I went from this position of imposter syndrome, thinking I don't have the skills to start an agency, thinking actually, yeah, I can do a much better job than this. I should start an agency. So yeah, going from selling these $20 shaving brushes to then the insurance products and then getting high ticket clients in all kinds of wonderful niches. In terms of SEO Jesus, I'm just a metal fan. So I've had long hair since I was about 18 or so. And then I had quite sort of intricate sideburns and moustache before, but during the pandemic, I couldn't really be bothered to shave, so it just looked like a mess. So I just grew the beard out. And then suddenly people started heckling me, calling me Jesus, just out on the street. And this sort of grew and grew over time until I was at a conference in Bangkok. I was on a rooftop bar. I've been talking to this nice chap, fellow SEO, and he'd clearly been waiting for the right time to ask this question. And he decided we'd had a few drinks, so we'd known each other quite well by this point. And he said, "Why don't you do the SEO Jesus thing?" I thought, you know what? You're not the first person to suggest it. Had a look at Namecheap, and the .com was available. So I grabbed it. Didn't really know what to do with it. But then I was telling people this funny story. Other SEOs, other conferences I went to, whenever this came up, and I said, "Yeah, I've actually got the .com, but I don't know what to do with it." And they'd sort of look at me aghast and say, "And why aren't you doing that?" So eventually, it was the YouTube was going well by this point, and ultimately it was Julian Goldie again in Bangkok who said, "You should just change your YouTube name to SEO Jesus." So I thought, if Julian Goldie says it, it's probably a good idea. Let's go for it.
And do you also have, because I noticed Julian has this thing in Ahrefs, when you do keywords research for SEO related terms, I keep seeing why Julian is the best SEO. Is there also SEO Jesus there
No,
as well?
that was actually started by James Dooley. I mean, I'm sure other people have done it before, but yeah, it's basically kind of CTR manipulation where you can actually manipulate the search volume to make it say all sorts of wonderful things. The best ones were when it was, "Why is James Dooley a better SEO than Craig Campbell?"
I haven't seen this one.
Yeah, you can see a lot of back and forth, one-upmanship.
Okay, yeah, that's funny. So you now have your own agency, and for how long exactly?
Yes, the agency is 2 years old. Most people get
Okay.
into SEO, decide to start an SEO agency, figure out how to do it, and then they start doing other things like affiliate. Whereas I went the other way around, started an affiliate, then did an agency. So already had about 4 years under my belt before I started the agency. But even now, I'm kind of going back the other way, starting to look at more sort of lead generation, more of my own projects again.
And how many people are there in your agency?
It varies. I'd probably say about 8.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Cool. We are supposed to talk about AI, what's going on with Google, the future of SEO, but it looks like you know a lot about affiliate marketing. So I will also want to probably pick your brain about this before we get to the main topic. Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, they're all ultimately related. So I'll be
Right.
completely honest, into July, August this year, got really quite burnt out. And there's a lot of this uncertainty about where's the market going. Yeah, I've had this great ride over the last 6 years where I've been getting better and better at SEO, and suddenly whole future is thrown into doubt and question. But in the last few weeks, it started all coming together again, and I've kind of worked out my new direction. So it comes with AI proofing, it comes with maximizing the use of AI, but it's still SEO and it's still ultimately affiliate. So happy to share.
Yeah. So, what has changed in affiliate marketing, in affiliate SEO, like over the last 2 years? I think the introduction of Google Helpful
Yeah,
Content system update was the turning point for many websites, right?
totally. So yeah, it's really brutal. So September was obviously the first one, 2023. March of this year was pretty devastating. And I noticed that the market went really quiet because a lot of these sort of online discourse we hear, 90% of the SEO market is all these little niche bloggers with a side hustle. Now, they're not my clients for the agency, they're much more enterprise level. But of course, the enterprise clients are hearing all the noise from the niche site community, understandably so. Loads of livelihoods devastated. And at the same time, the way all these algorithms work, if I publish a YouTube video, then of course, if I'm talking about how to make an extra grand a month using niche blogging, affiliate marketing, then of course that video blows up, and then those enterprise clients will then discover me. Whereas there was a period from March onwards where it just felt like I was shouting into the void, where all these tactics still work, but people aren't interested anymore because we're all hurting, having been hit. Either people have had their sites tanked, or they're hearing from all the people who've had their sites tanked, and they're saying SEO doesn't work anymore. Why would I get into this field where everyone seems to be complaining?
Yeah. So, tell me, why would you get into this field?
Yeah, so traditional affiliate marketing as we know it doesn't really work anymore. I have heard exceptions. Various people have said to me they are consulting for some people who've just flown under the radar, and it seems like the helpful content update was not algorithmic. It was a very deliberate, almost like a tick box saying we're going to tank that one, that one, that one, that one, and
Uh
because of
huh.
that, it's not an overall algorithm um, that's basically working at scale. Now, I'm not sure I actually believe that. Yeah, I've had clients who they were a real business with a real brand, but they had a content-heavy website, and they've lost all that traffic through a combination, partly HCU, but also AI overviews and all the real estate that's going on the search results. So fundamentally, this idea of starting a blog and being the subject matter expert and having all of that authority, it really doesn't work that well anymore. I'm sure it can work. There's outliers in everything, but it's not the reliable thing it used to be, where it used to be pretty dependent. If you just did best X or Y and reviews and a little bit of info content, do 100, 200 pages, even if you had a DR of 10, hardly any backlinks, then the chances are you would succeed. That shaving blog, it only had 100 pages. None of it was informational. It was all best of and reviews, and never built a backlink for it. So it was only a DR of 10 or something like that. I bought one expired domain that I redirected, but that was pretty much it. So to be able to do that today isn't so likely. But what I'm really noticing is if you can be a bit smarter about it, then it can still work. I'm trying to think of the easiest way of putting this, but I'm thinking of it much more about lead generation. So if you think about almost like the rank and rent model, where you go to your local roofer and say, I will supply you leads, exact match domains are still working really well. So if you, in your case, you're in Warsaw, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
you were too there, right?
now I'm
No, I saw you in Estonia SEO, I think,
yes,
right? Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, perfect example. So you can take your local location and do roof contractor in that location .com whatever is most relevant to that location, and that still works really well. And rank and rent, we typically talk about local services, but actually it still works with national services. So I'm doing a lot in the insurance market where we're all used to home insurance, pet insurance, those big ones. But if you dig down, there's some really interesting niche insurance products where you can get the exact match domain for that insurance product. And then your landing page simply says, we are a company that supplies this particular niche product. We have a lead form, we have a phone number, and there's still a lot of industries out there that rely on introducers. So it might not be the classic affiliate model we're used to, but if you look at mortgages or financial advice, there's plenty of professions out there where they do have a network of introducers and
Yeah.
referrers. So affiliate marketing and referrals has been around for hundreds of years. And that's the way insurance has pretty much always worked, where you have the underwriter who actually has carries the risk, provides the money, but then you have a network of brokers underneath who are responsible for actually selling it. But even those brokers will have their own referral partners. If you're selling insurance for yachts, then you might as well partner up with a yacht club to send over some of their members. So this is much more what I'm doing now, where rather than having a gardening blog where I try and review every single product in the gardening world, which worked really well a couple of years ago, but now it's got all these little flaws in it. So we're competing with Forbes, Good Housekeeping, all of those. If you're not one of those, Google seems to tank you and say you don't have the right to talk about this product. Whereas on the other hand, if you make it look like you're an actual service provider, even though that on the back end you're actually just drop shipping it, sending it through to another provider, then you're fine. And a lot of these are really not that competitive either, because if you're a roofer in a small part of northwest London, the chances are you're only competing with mum and pop shops. At this stage, there don't seem to be many digital marketers going after that, because affiliate marketing was great in that you sign up to a network, you get your link. If anyone buys through your link, you get that money dropping into your account. Now, for this kind of stuff, generally, you've actually got to talk to people, which most of us aren't willing to do, myself included. And you then got to build some sort of tracking system and have that accountability back and forth, where at the end of the month, you're basically saying, did you get leads? How many of those converted? Please tell me how many actually converted and give me fair payment for that. Otherwise, this isn't going to work out. The good news is if you're working with a roofer and the average ticket is 50 grand and you're taking a 10% commission, then even if you only send over 4 or 5 leads that month, then you could have a website that's doing 10, 20 grand a month. So in that case, it's probably worth following up with those invoices.
Yeah, definitely. And in that case, are you creating like one pagers basically, or are those websites more complex if you are going after a very like easy to win term?
Yeah, so I call it one page websites. And basically I'm building a funnel around this at the moment of how I actually do it. So I've been using one page websites as the sort of nice catchy term to refer to it. The reality is you do want some supporting content. It's good to have an about page. It's good to basically try and complete your semantic topical map, if you like. But if you're a roofer in North London, then how many pages of content can you actually write? Yeah, people get really deep in the idea of topical authority, which is important, let's face it, but you're not going to write 500 pages if you're just a roofer in North London. You're not going to go into every single type of roof tile. It's going to be much more a case of what services do I offer? I've seen some local SEOs going crazy and deciding they need 100 pages just about the location, about the local museum and the local cafes. And that's not relevant to roofing. So the way I launch these websites typically is I'll get the exact match domain, put an optimized homepage on it. And that's not a good looking homepage at all. It's just a long form page of text just to get the entities onto the page. And then we'll do 10 of these at once, basically. And once you've got it indexed, you'll generally find some of those will start ranking for keywords right away. And that's when you know you're onto something, because I've done no effort and yet still getting something. So then we'll do the basic foundation links, the citations, social media, press release. But at that point, that's when, as part of that optimization, we probably want to complete that topical map. So what are the other services this contractor should be offering? And do the about page, the contact us. But that's pretty much it. So we say one page websites, it's probably not going to be more than 10 or 20 pages.
Yeah, that's cool. And so what tools do you use to extract entities or LSIs if you are an LSI person?
So I use Surfer. I've tried them all. I've got Market News and Phrase on lifetime deals. I've got Page Optimizer. I still pay for Page Optimizer Pro every month. And generally it's accepted. The kind of hierarchy people talk about is you've got Cora at the top by Pediatritis. And then underneath that is then Page Optimizer Pro. And then it's Surfer and the other. But personally, I stick with Surfer. I'm still paying $200 a month for Surfer, even though I've got these lifetime deals, just because I find it really user-friendly. And in terms of my team, my clients, I'm much happier with a tool that does the job 80 to 90% as well, but does it easily, rather than having to learn a new tool that's 10% better and maybe 50% more complicated.
Yeah,
especially in these times.
I would say with Cora, because I have been using both of those tools, and with Surfer SEO, like what the suggestions, even if you like implement everything, it is like 50% or less of a chance that you will actually improve, at least in my experience. With Cora, you can actually like overtake the pages which you would never dream of overtaking, something like that. So I would say Cora is like 100%
nice.
better if you. Sorry.
I actually saw Ted in Vegas the other week.
Yeah, I saw.
What an inspiring person. So I'm sure I'm allowed to share this. He was basically talking about, we're in Vegas, obviously every hotel is a casino. And he opened his talk by basically saying, as SEOs, and this is relevant to our conversation about the future, as SEOs, we're all about optimizing. It's not about the search engine. And he was talking about how he was optimizing the process of gambling, and basically was on one of the machines. It was the roulette machine, and he was saying he was basically coming up with an algorithm. And it's that usual thing. He's a physicist, immensely academic background. So comes up with a hypothesis, tests that hypothesis, and refines it over time. And through this, he was coming up with a method to basically consistently win at the roulette wheel. And his ultimate conclusion was basically about how you've just got to manage your winning and losing streaks. So it's all about that upside and downside risk. I can't possibly say more than that. I can't remember, frankly, the details of it. But yeah, it's amazing to see that same mind that built Quora applying that to gambling and how we can actually monitor this for long-term success.
Yeah, super interesting. So it was like SEO rock stars, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have access to recordings. I am going to watch your presentation because you were presenting, right?
Yeah.
So tell me what the topic was.
I was actually talking about YouTube. So I'm very wary when it's an SEO conference, especially of that level. There are going to be people far more qualified than me in the room to talk about whether it's on-page optimization, schema, link building, entities. I feel like I'm generally quite a generalist, and therefore in each of those niches, there's going to be someone way above me. But what no one in the room is doing, as effectively as me in that case, is YouTube, I think, or at least far less people, and specifically using YouTube to actually sell. So the problem across the SEO industry, this is what Mad Singers is always talking about, is we've got a lot of really good technicians who are already 80, 90%, and they want to get an extra 10% through that on-page hack, that schema snippet, whatever else it is. And yet fundamentally, you look at, dare I say it, the wealthiest and arguably most successful SEOs in the world, and they're not doing that. They are just packaging it up and selling it. And so my message about YouTube really is loads of people getting on the faceless YouTube bandwagon, where now that Google's tanked all our blogs and niche sites, people are just moving on to YouTube as the next step and spamming it with AI videos, going to get the banner ad revenue and hopefully sell some affiliate products. But what I was basically pitching was anyone in this room who's already a good level SEO, and there's no point in doing that. You're doing the same thing of doing something that anyone can do. It's very commodified. The algorithm is probably going to filter it out, if not now, then in a few weeks' time. And next week, someone else could get into your niche and start doing the exact same thing. Whereas you've got skills that are really valuable to businesses. And the great thing about YouTube is it's got this incredible distribution. I've never seen anything like it, where you publish a video and you can literally get hundreds or thousands of views from relevant targeted leads within 24 hours. And I had a lot of beginner's luck. One of my first videos was talking about autoblogging.ai and how I published 500 AI blog posts and they actually ranked. And that video got 10,000 views within about 48 hours. And it was basically the first video I published. So when you compare that back to SEO, where you start a new site and you publish your pages, and you think, great, hopefully in a few months, I might actually get something out of this.
Yeah, totally. It's very true. But regarding your first video, what optimizations did you do? I have to ask now, like or you just created a nice video?
So ever since then, I've been trying to top that and I've not been able to beat it. But my message, part of the talk was basically, yes, there's all these sort of SEO and ranking strategies for YouTube, but the fundamentals, the 80-20 of it really is, it all comes down to the hook. So it's about heuristics. You're trying to spark that curiosity. You're trying to win the click, and then you're trying to win the attention. And then, of course, you're trying to win the email sign up and the sale. So what most people do is they get on YouTube and they'll do something really, dare I say it, quite technical and boring. Maybe not technical and boring to us, but to any viewers, just not interesting. So the example I always give was, I was talking about Cloudflare, one absolute hack that for free, you can get an SSL certificate and a CDN and all this protection on your website. And you don't have to pay anything for it. So I did this tutorial on Cloudflare, how to set it up, free SSL certificate. It got maybe 300 views, something like that. Whereas if I do a video on how to rank number one in 24 hours for $50, then that goes gangbusters, 5,000 views. And so it literally all comes down to that. Your hook in the title you need to package up and sell your video. So just as we talked about selling the service, the mistake everyone makes as an agency is going into how we're going to do the backlinks, we're going to do the content. Business owners don't care about that. It's just how much money you're actually going to make me in what time frame and what do I have to spend to get there. And it's the same thing with the video. They don't care about the technicalities. If you're in a scroll mode on YouTube, competing with all this clickbait, you've got to be more clickbait than anyone else. So you have to win the click, get them onto your video. And then once you're in the video, you've got them, then you can deliver the quality content. That's the difference between clickbait and delivering value. So just last night, I published one where while I was doing this rank and rent stuff, looking at local roofers, local contractors, I found a lead gen site that was getting around 100 visitors a month. It had a DR of 1.8 from about 15 backlinks, most of which were just those spammy crawlers we all get. But it was at number one for a really good keyword. So assuming 10% of those convert, that site could have been getting £50,000 plus per month in commission.
Wow.
But in that video, I was then talking about the nuances of local search and how Ahrefs is only searching from one location. So if you put in the generic term of, say, plumber, then it's going to give you the results for plumber from Glasgow, which doesn't relate with someone searching plumber in London. So even though this website was getting 100 visitors a month in Ahrefs, the chances are it's actually much higher than that, because Ahrefs is not able to tell how many people in the local area are just searching plumber rather than plumber in London. So that's something that's really, really important, but quite deep and technical. But I had to actually frame the video in the right way, saying, here's a site that's ranking number one with 0 backlinks, making 50 grand a month. And now let me tell you the complex technical point.
Yeah, I like that very much. But one more thing regarding videos, because I am thinking at the same time that I'm talking. What about thumbnails?
So you've seen my thumbnails, haven't you?
Yeah.
They're quite famous in the industry. So what I was told by, I can give you his name, Stan Leloup. He's a YouTube expert in France. And I saw him speak at a conference, and he's all about thumbnails. He studies Mr. Beast, reverse engineers them. So I won't go into details. I just blatantly took what he told me, which is basically you want some kind of graphical element. So a chart going like that, or I don't know, a clock, something like that. You want a large face as a reaction, and he said you want to make the face really large. So a lot of people start on YouTube, and you'll see they'll have their full body and they're pointing at something, and it doesn't really strike you. Whereas a lot of top YouTubers, you'll notice the frame really, their face fills the whole frame. So this guy Stan said he'll even basically cut off the chin and cut off the top of the head just to get the expression massive in the thumbnail. And then the crucial thing is creating a knowledge gap. So for instance, with that, number one, 50 grand a month, everything we do as marketers is about creating knowledge gaps, because you want to create that sense of urgency. There's something really important here, and you need to find out what it is. So given I'm in the marketing niche, generally I find someone who does this well, along with everything else he does so well, is Alex Hormozy. So if you look at his thumbnails, generally you can see he's using the same kind of themes, where you might have this checklist where there'll be a list of things, and he'll say, this is the crucial thing that separates you from making millions. And that's a blank space. And subconsciously, instinctively, you're thinking, I need that. So I'm going to click on that video and find out what it is.
Yeah. That's a good example. But
so in my case, obviously I'm quite instinctive. So basically, I built a custom GPT. A good ranking factor for YouTube is actually having chapters with the timestamps. So if you put those timestamps in, you automatically get those chapters in the video, which is basically more keyword stuffing and LSIs. So if you look at the search results on YouTube, you'll notice a lot of the top ranking videos have got these chapters. Yeah. So I basically created a custom GPT where once I've uploaded my video, I'll copy the transcript from YouTube. If you click on the description of the YouTube video, there's a button that says show transcript. And I think that's one of the most useful features on YouTube, because you get a full timestamp transcription that's quite accurate. I put it into this GPT. It'll then give me a description, some headline ideas, although I'll generally tweak them, the list of the timestamps. But then I prompted it basically saying, I want to create this thumbnail based on this video. It should create a knowledge gap. I need a massive face, some kind of graphical element. And I've also given it a description of me as well, and my brand colors.
Yeah.
So a bit more difficult for most people, because I've had people on my podcast and I'm trying to generate them in my thumbnail generator. And actually, someone who doesn't have long hair, beard, and blue eyes, it's much more difficult to get the AI to actually create an image that looks like them. But to anyone else, I would just say, just have a face. It doesn't necessarily have to be your face, versus spending half an hour in Canva tinking around, or having to pay someone else to do it, where you get the back and forth. Put your transcript in, get the thumbnail back. As long as you've got that big reaction face, then that's what you click.
Yeah, that's a very good tip. What about the length of the text you put in a thumbnail? Don't you think that it should be like 1, 2, 3 words, or could
Correct.
it be longer?
So those people, especially in our industry, people think you want to repeat the title in the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Now that has some benefits for SEO purposes. There's a lot of belief that Google can read the text in the video. So I've heard people talking about ranking GMBs, for instance. If you're trying to build a brand and you want to get that brand distributed and verified, kind of like citations, but you're using YouTube, then they say you want the thumbnail with your keyword. You want to take that thumbnail and put it on Pinterest. And And if it's a GMB or Google Business Profile, you then have the name, address, and phone number in all of it. It's all these layers of verification. But like I say, in my case, I'm in a different game. I'm in getting as much YouTube traffic as possible to build my brand, sell SEO services, sell affiliate products, sell courses, build my email list. So in my case, again, I'm just trying to get the click. So don't repeat the title, don't repeat the keyword, because you're just repeating yourself. You can see both. That thumbnail is an extra bonus, it's an extra asset. So what I see works most successfully is, again, that idea of creating the knowledge gap. So if you have that one word that says destroyed or dominates, or you can use politics of fear. We know we're more likely to react to bad news than good news. And
Yeah.
someone who's really good at this actually is the income stream surfers channel, Hamish. So he's really good at just putting one word in there, where again, subconsciously, you're trying to put this all together, where you've got these graphics or maybe a chart going up, you've got this large reaction face, but then you have this word that says gold mine or billionaire. It's all those things that inspire you to click.
Yeah, that's again another great tip. Regarding ChatGPT, one question, because maybe I'm using ChatGPT wrong. I've been trying to have ChatGPT create video chapters for me. And it's kind of, once it gets it right, the other time it's kind of totally messes up the timestamps. And I stopped using that because like I kept getting pissed off. And now I use a different tool. But does it happen to your custom GPT as well?
Every now and then it does break, especially with the thumbnails. So it knows it's creating a YouTube thumbnail. So sometimes it will give me a thumbnail which looks like the YouTube homepage with this little video box on it. I was like, no, that's not what I meant. I wanted the actual thumbnail, not all the YouTube surround. Text-wise, same thing. We're using the YouTube transcript with the actual timestamps included in that case.
Yes, I was using like a transcript done with Descript, but it is basically the same. There are timestamps as well.
No, I used Descript as well, but I suspected there was a way to get the timestamps, but I never found out where it was. So
Yeah, Descript does a lot of things which I thought I have to do like with a different tool or manually.
Yeah, Descript is, again, one of those big, I mentioned it in the talk, it's one of the biggest wins you can do for YouTube, because
Yeah.
everyone hesitates thinking, yeah, now I've got the nice backdrop and lights and so on. But when I started, all anyone needs to do is just get recording on your laptop, do a screen share. And then with Descript, you click one button, it takes out the blank spaces, click another button, and it makes your laptop microphone sound like a decent podcast microphone.
Yeah.
And click export to YouTube.
Yeah, totally. What about shorts?
So I've played around, but yeah, I've never dug into it sufficiently to actually come up with a conclusion. But my overall impression has been that it's a bit like TikTok. You get massive distribution, but people are in scroll mode, so it's less likely to convert. And are those going to be your sort of ideal clients, if you like? I don't feel like I can deliver much value in a short, so that's why I like the 10-minute long form video. And again, this is untested, but I suspect that to my sort of ideal audience, my ideal customer, it's kind of the same thing. They're not going to get value from it. Are they there stuck in browse mode? And if they were, would they actually take interest? I don't think it would be as effective.
Yeah, I agree. I've been putting off creating shorts like forever, and I cannot like really find a good reason to do it because I'm
Yeah, I
not
love
a
the idea of the Mesa stuff. Now there's so many AIs where you press a button and it'll do 100 shorts for you
but
on facts about the ancient Greeks. But all the gurus promoting that got very quiet about how there was this gold rush in the beginning, and then YouTube changed it so you can no longer put a link in your video. And then suddenly, I wouldn't say it's dead, but yeah, suddenly you're kind of reliant on ad revenue. You can't just drop in affiliate links into all your shorts anymore.
Yeah,
So,
right. That's another possible disadvantage of having shorts. Okay, talking about like the future of SEO, it looks like YouTube is definitely the future of SEO because it also gives you like some real estate in SERPs. What about AI overviews? Because they also give you some space and it is in the top. Like, what are your observations? Like, how do you rank in AI overviews? Anything you have learned so far?
yes, I think both of those points actually come down to search intent. And so, yeah, YouTube works really well. For me as a consultant, it works really well. But if I were an ecom brand, depending on what it is, I suspect it wouldn't work so well. So in my case, people come onto YouTube for information. And even for me, I find YouTube is much better for selling courses. I do get clients from it, but generally the clients I get are not the same as other enterprise clients, because you talk to most agency owners and they talk about how we've got this funnel, we've got this sales team, we blast money on ads, we want to talk to the decision makers at this major corporation. And we've had a few of those come through YouTube, but it's far less. So my clients tend to be much more hands-on and generally smaller businesses. which is fine. That's not a problem. But it is this point that the sort of persona, the average person who uses YouTube, they're trying to fix the problem themselves. So for that reason, it works for clients, but different clients to necessarily using ads or cold email. But information especially is massive. So when I had this sort of burnout period in the summer where I was taking a break, trying to work out what to do, and I got really into bonsai. So I started watching all these YouTube videos on bonsai, and it's one of those things that doesn't work so well as a blog, but it's really nice to watch in a YouTube video. And of course, all these bonsai experts on YouTube are selling courses. So it's a very natural progression from watching the video on YouTube to then signing up to the $100 course. So it's that usual thing that the audience and the product does have to fit the medium. So yeah, if you're wanting to sell courses, consulting, or even affiliate, then I say YouTube does work really well. I say to everyone that if I lost everything I had tomorrow, then what I would do is software reviews on YouTube. I would do 100 videos on how to use HubSpot or Descript, because you'll make some affiliate commission on the software, but you'll also find yourself becoming the subject matter expert in that field. So you'll probably end up selling some consulting as well. So when it blows up, your ideal enterprise level client is going to come to you saying, you're clearly the expert on this. You might have made a $50 affiliate commission out of them, but now you're getting $500 an hour as a consultant to fix their problems.
Yeah, totally.
In terms of AI overviews and so on, again, it's fitting the product to the search intent. So yeah, YouTube, as people go in looking for that educational content that's long form, whereas AI overviews, they're pretty much exclusively informational, at least at this stage. And this is why I think a lot of the old blogging methodology doesn't work anymore, because so many people were dependent on the niche site model, the sort of income school model, where you do 1,000 blog posts on your specialist subject and then monetize with banner ads from Mediavine. So worked great at the time, but it was an arbitrage of people are searching this question, they land on my page, and now I'm just sending them somewhere else through the banner ads. So yeah, AI overviews, I really try not to compete. Yeah, steadily, we probably are going to see more market share going to ChatGPT or GPT search, where if it's an informational thing like a recipe, I hate shopping. So I went to the supermarket the other week and I thought, can you just remove all the decision making for me? I went to ChatGPT, give me all the essentials I should buy. Here's who I am, here's my partner. I want 1 week, I want to minimize shopping, give me some essentials that are healthy and easy. And it did really well. It gave me all the fundamentals. And then each evening, I literally went to ChatGPT and said, what can I make tonight? And then the next day, I said again, right, I made that. So ignore those ingredients. What can I make with what's left over? And it was actually really good. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so many of those models I don't think are going to work, whether it's AI overviews or GPT search. But like I say, this idea, if you can align yourself very closely with a particular business, then AI can't replace you. Yeah, AI is not going to replace a roofer for the foreseeable future. And I say you can go really niche, like some sort of damp proofing, or I'm talking a lot about construction here. What's something a bit more generic, perhaps, like dog walking, something like that. There's so many essential services we all use all the time. So why would you waste your time doing 100 articles on how to grow bonsai, and when AI has already scraped all that and can just give you a response, versus someone who needs an actual person on their property or actually needs a physical product shipped to them? That's where I get into this situation of I want the exact match domain, optimized page of content that looks like a real business. So give me your details, whether it's a lead form or a phone number, and then whether it's a commission basis or equity. And of course, the game plan here, kind of like an exit strategy, if you like, is if I can get all these businesses to really benefit from my leads, then they're going to be in a position where they might be looking at actually equity. So loads of rank and rent people do this. They'll end up taking 20-30% of a landscaping company, because that landscaping company is getting all their leads from this one guy, and they don't want to be beholden to him, so they'll make them a partner.
Oh, yeah, very clever. Okay, I have so many questions. I don't know which one to pick, actually.
I'm in no hurry.
Yeah, getting back to AI overviews, have you been tracking this more closely? Have you noticed that traffic in your clients dropped because AI overviews appeared on top, and your client dropped because there's more space now occupied by them, or they gained traffic because they were shown in those queries?
Yeah, so this is the big pivot I've been seeing myself and other agency owners. So I know people who 2 years ago were in the sort of affiliate niche site community and were in all the coaching programs, things like that, and would take those coaching programs and build a service for it, and then go back to that community and say, I've now productized exactly what they're teaching. So if you can't be bothered to do it yourself, I'll do it for you. And of course, when that whole community was wiped out, they've been wiped out as well. So yeah, looking at my clients, we did have some really unfortunate cases where we had not necessarily affiliate sites. Well, some of them were. The example I feel baddest about, because she was actually a close friend, still is, was actually a language course creator. I've got a few language course creators actually, and one has just gone up and up and up, and that's been no problem at all. But the other one, they were already losing some traffic to feature snippets. So a lot of their content was around translations and the meaning of words. So a few years ago, worked absolutely fine, massive traffic. First, we get the feature snippets, we get Google's own translation snippet, things like that. Then we get the AI overviews. Then we get helpful content updates. So traffic has dropped significantly. So I feel really bad about that. But if I look at all the other competitors in that field in the exact same niche, it's all the same thing, massive drops throughout. All these people are getting 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 visitors a month. Because if you're searching for the meaning of a word in another language, then it's easily answered at the top now.
Yeah, but what about like getting your friends into the AI overview? Because like sometimes, I'm not sure if always, I don't remember, AI overviews also cite sources which are reliable. So maybe that could be a solution here.
Yeah, it all depends on the individual client. So I think it's just a continuation of what we had with feature snippets, where people really wanted to be number one, and then we got these big feature snippets at the top. It's like, great, I want that. But if you're an informational site answering a short question, and the short question is answered on Google, then you're not going to get the click. But yeah, on the flip side, I'd say the informational stuff has taken a hit. But what we're seeing is e-com, SaaS services, they're all doing really well. There's no AI overview at the top. And even if there was, that person, that searcher, is still looking for someone to actually come over and install a door for them.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, let me pick another question. YouTube, AI overviews. What do you think? What do you predict is going to happen to Google? There was like this verdict, like Google was declared a monopoly. First, do you agree with that? And second, how do you see the future of Google? Then we'll talk about the future of SEO.
Right, big topics there. Yeah, I don't want to anger Google. I suspect I'm already in the sort of sniper's scope with all the influencers
I
who
think
got
so.
no, so I try to play nice. Ultimately, I don't agree with how the SEO community feels like Google's the enemy. They've given us this amazing gift of all this traffic for 10 years. Just because things are harder than they used to be, that just means you had it really good before. So now I still love Google for the fact it's got this unheard of 95% market share that has allowed us to reverse engineer it and therefore just focus on that. If you imagine there was this fair split and we were having to optimize for Bing, DuckDuckGo, Google all simultaneously, that'd be a nightmare. I think you'd have to have separate websites for each one potentially. So that's one alternative universe. I think the biggest issue we've seen over the last few years is the switch to monetization. I've forgotten his name already, but on the internet, various journalists have called him the man who killed Google search by basically switching more emphasis on the ads and actually changing the whole user experience. So that they basically turned around and said, Google's now got this big market share. Why are we focused on all this user experience now when we want to make money? We can make a few changes and people will probably keep using us. Maybe we'll lose 10% of the user experience, but we can make 2-3 times as much money as a result. So yeah, it's really, I said, loads of bloggers and YouTubers have covered this over recent months. But it used to be that if you put in this really weird niche search term, you would get a weird niche blog that gave you exactly what your answer was. If you had a problem with your car, this particular component from this particular model, you would then find some bloke in a garage who wrote this blog on Dreamweaver 10 years ago, who had written about that exact model, shared the blueprint, and told you exactly what to do. Whereas now you're going to be funneled into some not quite as relevant article from a major magazine, major website.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's probably the biggest problem I think we've seen from both an SEO perspective and a user experience perspective. Google's earnings recently have shown it's not a problem. They're making more money than ever. So are they really going to backtrack on that? The so-called man who killed Google search has now stepped down from that role, but are they massively motivated to actually make a big change? I don't think so. So we've had the ruling of the monopoly. That's quite interesting. There have been a few lawsuits as well. I think there was that couple who lost all their traffic and actually successfully made a case.
I haven't heard about this one.
Oh, right. It was
kind of missed it
right now. But yeah, a few people are pushing back and they do seem to be getting some traction. Like I say, I don't think it's productive to do that necessarily, just creating more work for ourselves. But no, in terms of the monopoly, I think there's going to be an organic process that happens from here on in where we've got the rise of AI, we've got GPT search, and some people are going to say this is going to end Google, which I don't think it's going to happen. But what I am seeing is likely is a disruption of that market share. I think with that pressure, maybe Google is going to lose maybe 20, 30% of its market share over the next couple of years. And with that, I think comes this renewed energy that they need to be competitive. So maybe they will then have an economic incentive to go back to being fundamentally a user experience company. So I think that's what's most interesting at the moment. Even though we've had this Supreme Court ruling about it being a monopoly and the supposed breakup, that's going to take years anyway. And how does that actually get implemented? I'm not too sure. Versus we're going to have a lot of real world market action happening over the next couple of years at the same time, where basically loads of people are getting annoyed with Google as users and are therefore switching to alternatives. So how is Google therefore going to be able to try and bring them back? So hopefully through improved user experience. I think, as we were saying about TED and the gambling machine, I think as SEOs, whatever the algorithm is, there's always going to be a way we can actually play with that to best suit and best fit our businesses and content to maximize that.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I also agree with you regarding Google being a gift and not necessarily like having this approach that I think Google owes me something, and like how can Google take this from me? It belongs to me. But I think Google is still doing a service to many people, because like 50, 20 years ago, it wasn't possible for you to just work from home and earn like some people millions of dollars, right? It was not possible for someone, I think, unless they started a huge company, were lucky, or inherited like some big money or real estate. So that's my take on it as well. But on the other
That's why I've
hand, I
always
know,
loved it. I thought, what a beautiful thing that anyone could just start a website and get this traffic and build a brand. And say you go onto SEO Twitter and you see all this fighting between ourselves, fighting with Google, and you think you're losing the objective here. Just keep moving forward.
yeah, totally.
But to get back to that point, I want to make sure anything I say about this is accurately evidenced. So, where's it gone? I just had a news story. So that lawsuit I mentioned, it was how a couple won $3 billion battle against tech giant
Oh, that's
after 15-year legal fight. After a prolonged 15-year legal fight, UK entrepreneurs Siobhan and Adam Raff secured a landmark victory against Google, resulting in a £2.4 billion fine for market abuse. The dispute began in 2006. I've now got an
that's a nice fine.
ironically, a Google ad has just come up and obscured me. When Google imposed a search penalty on the Raff's price comparison website, found them, dramatically reducing its visibility. Despite years of legal challenges and appeals from Google, the European Court of Justice upheld the fine in 2024, and they say this is a critical moment in regulating big tech's influence. So, when helpful content update, people getting angry saying we're going to do a class action lawsuit and so on. We owe Google nothing, and therefore I don't really think we have grounds to complain. But that's one example where there has been a bit of a shift in the tide.
Yeah, totally. I bet there are way more such examples. I also think that I don't think that Google will die or will be wiped out and replaced by ChatGPT, because like even Google has access to like the biggest amounts of data. No one has that level of data. So I would say without that, all those OpenAI or other AI companies, they have, I don't know, maybe a few percent of that what Google has. And I think at every moment it is possible that Google can buy any of those companies if it thinks it's time, because I don't think it would be a problem to Google. So I am more optimistic. I wouldn't say that even like 30 or 10% will be lost. I still believe Google will be there, but definitely our optimization will change, and it won't be only about websites, but AI overviews and exploring those other channels that can also give us real estate on the first page, like YouTube, you
Yeah,
mentioned.
it tends to be very black and white, in that we see an update from ChatGPT and we think, right, this is the end. This is the end of Google. It's all going to be ChatGPT. But you look through history, and when has there ever been that night and day change? How many people are still using Bing? My parents have never even touched ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So you can look at all these different markets. I remember Mark Webster of Authority Hacker telling me he met this agency owner where all they did was link wheels. And I didn't even know what this was, but he explained to me that back in the day, it was that idea of you create this Web 2.0 and this social bookmarking link, and all these, slightly dodgy,
Yeah.
your own sort of Web 2.0 PBN network, if you like, and link them all together. And he said this agency was doing millions just selling those in 2022, 2023. So, no matter how outdated or far behind you think something is, there still seems to really be a place for it in the modern world. So, it all comes down to market share. And one thing I've said consistently about ChatGPT search is, as you say, Google's been this market leader. It's got massive resources. Steve Toth of SEO Notebook recently shared a lot of data about, yes, people are saying ChatGPT has risen this much in this much time, but Google is still right up here in terms of it's got 20, 25 years of advantage over there. So yeah, if you look at the two algorithms side by side, first of all, GPT search isn't actually that good so far. And even if it got really good, I keep thinking, what's the natural conclusion? We've got the search engine that's worked really hard to be the best search algorithm over 20 years.
Yeah.
So is a competitor just going to do the same thing? Is it going to rank the same websites?
Yeah, I also think that I wouldn't probably like to switch. I didn't really like GPT search or whatever it is called. So totally on board with that. Okay, maybe some final thoughts. What's the future of SEO? What will be the focus of SEO in 2025? What do you think?
So yeah, it's about being smart, not being complacent, using old strategies. So the fundamentals of ranking a website haven't really changed that much in decades, never mind the last couple of years. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people hurting right now, myself included, because we had this good ride where you could build a massive blog and get traffic that way without really having a real product to sell. So yeah, things have shifted a bit. The underlying mechanism is still there. It's just how we use it that's got to be different. And AI is just a compounding factor of that. So like I say, if you can align yourself with an actual ecom product, software product, or a service, and then whether it's YouTube or Google or AI search, you're going to be able to connect with your ideal users through those channels because that's what they're built for. So I think the problem we have is so many people have taken this roundabout arbitrage route where I'm going to take these clicks from Google, then send it through to an affiliate or a banner ad network. And all we really need to change is just to be the end result that the user is looking for. Even if on the back end, you've then got some sort of affiliate arrangement where actually you're sending the leads to someone else. But I really don't see that changing. If I've got an exact match domain that ranks well in Google, and that's something like, at the moment I'm trying to get a cap flap installed in a UPVC window, so quite an interesting niche. So if I've got UPVC cap flap installation.co.uk, then I think it's very likely that in 3 years' time, when we're using an AI search, someone who is still looking to get a cap flap installed in the UPVC window is going to end up coming to my site because there's nothing more targeted and more relevant for that particular search.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Stuart, where can people find you, follow you? What's the best place?
So
YouTube,
yeah,
one thing.
yep, YouTube, SEO Jesus, SEOJesus.com. I've got my mastermind that includes access to all my courses. So I've got the one-page website course. I've got the YouTube Millionaire Mastery course. I've got a couple of books out there as well if you don't want to invest in the course. But yeah, follow me on YouTube. I still try and do a YouTube video every day. So whatever my latest fixation
really?
is. Yeah. So I've done 240 videos since September last year.
Oh, Jesus. I want to say.
Yeah, that's why I got burnt out in the summer.
Yeah, because I also wanted to ask about it. Like, why take the break? Okay, I understand now. And how long does it take you to record and publish one video?
So yeah, if I'm delivering a talk or talking about the course, I like to say it takes me 10 minutes to record the video, 10 minutes to edit it, and then I publish it. In reality, if I actually time myself, and of course, you know what Descript is like, it does tend to blow up on regular occasions. So the reality is it does take probably an hour or two. And in terms of energy and focus, then there's a bit more to it than that. Because if I'm delivering good content, I've got to have a decent case study to actually to offer. So before I did really well out of Parasite SEO because I could throw up a LinkedIn page and by the end of the day, it would be ranking and I could deliver that case study. Whereas Parasite SEO still works, but obviously the March update made it less effective than it was before. And yeah, niche sites weren't working so far as well so far. So you really need to be testing all the time and building stuff all the time in order to have stuff to talk about. So in my case, in August, I'm exhausted. I'm wondering about where things are going. I'm not too sure where to invest my time and energy. So therefore, I was just doing less stuff and therefore had less to actually talk about.
Uh-huh.
So in theory, 10 minutes to record, 10 minutes to edit. In reality, probably more like half an hour to edit. And you need to have something good to talk about. So the dream would be to have a testing team who can just churn out case studies all day long, and I just have to record. The reality is I've got to be in full hustle mode of the 10 websites we're launching this month, what the strategy is going to be. And we want these to be real websites with an end goal, not just a shallow case study for YouTube. So that includes reaching out to affiliate partners and doing the foundation links, getting the tracking set up, and everything else that goes into building a website.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Any final thoughts to add?
Just take action. I think from what I've learned from being in this slump over the last few months, which I'm perfectly honest about, started having a few more conversations with people in the industry and suddenly I've come out of it and I realized, wow, there's actually still loads of opportunity out there. And suddenly, yeah, I'm back in the game. I'm back in hustle mode, and I'm starting to think I've got so much to do today, so many opportunities to capitalize on. And I look back at the 2-3 months I had on a back burner, taking things easy. And I'm thinking, damn, how much time did I waste by worrying about things I can't control? So, yeah, to anyone listening, if you're feeling despondent about the future of Google, with this one-page websites process, everything I'm teaching is I want you to be able to launch a website for less than $300. So get the domain for $10, put it up on some hosting for $10 a month, do your citations for $50, do a press release for about $30 or so, and then just do some basic foundation links. And with all of that, you can do 10 of those without spending a fortune. There's a good chance 3 of those are going to work out really well. So just imagine being in a situation where you take these 10 websites, 3 of them perform, and then your first paycheck comes in from whether it's a local contractor or something like that, and you've just made $500, then one of your websites is already into profit straight away, and then you can reinvest that really aggressively.
Yeah, and one thing I can add is on-page SEO, the basics, even though they seem obvious, this is still something I see over and over again people forget about. And just getting those basics right, and if you want, you can also add Cora, will be like 85, 90% of SEO effort probably you have to do. I have tons of examples of websites I worked on where I did everything with just on page without even building links or building them only with a press release. So
Yeah,
totally
those
on
of us who
board.
work at the rock face, we always get into this mindset that it's too competitive. Everything must have been done. Everyone's doing the same thing, operating at this really high level. And then you get a client come in saying, we're desperate. We tried everything. It's not working. And I'll do one audit in Surfer. You've got a 40 out of 100 content score. Your competitors have got 70. Maybe that's the problem.
Exactly. Okay, Stuart. So thank you so much for being here with me. You shared so
And you,
many
thank you.
tips. Yeah, I think people will love it.
Very
So
good.
thanks. Yeah, thanks everyone. Bye bye.